Hey folks, this is Zach. I just filmed a video about sort of legal stuff and liability because I just walked by the law school buildings. I'm in the law school woods right now. I kept saying gardens last video. It is law school woods. But I mentioned Florida man in the last video, and for anyone who doesn't know, I'm from Florida, and we have a sort of phenomenon in newspapers and online news sites where an article will start with Florida man does this, and after that, it's always something sensational and like barely believable. Or Florida woman, we have both now. But that spawned a bunch of groups, like Facebook groups, that are just a collection of Florida man headlines, and they're always insane. So I thought I'd just list off a few of them from memory that made me laugh every time I saw them. And before I get into any of these, a lot of these are like people getting arrested for stuff, or even dying doing stuff, or doing really horrible things, because a lot of people in Florida, well, a lot of people get in trouble with the law or in the news are doing it because of drugs. So you've been warned. That's like content, trigger warning, whatever. Usually wouldn't say that because, like the comedian Brad Goss said, if you need a content or trigger warning on the internet, you should be supervised by an adult. If you're an adult, get with it. But I'm giving one in this video because there might be some bad stuff I'm talking about. So one of the easiest ones, or probably one of the most Florida headlines I've ever seen, was Florida man eaten by alligator while hiding from cops or police. I forget what they said. So there was a man at night, he's running from the police for whatever reason, probably did like a gas station robbery. That happens a lot here. And he hid in a bush next to a lake. And if you don't know Florida and our alligators, they're big. They're like crocodiles, but they're slower. Sort of big dinosaur looking things that get up to 15 or 16 feet long sometimes. They mostly eat fish. They're lazy. People's dogs get eaten because these are ambush predators. They'll sit there in the water really quietly. You won't see them. And if you get too close, they'll jump out, grab you, pull you into the water, and like spin you around and tear you up. But people walking their dogs next to lakes, the dogs will get grabbed and eaten. But this person hid in the bush next to a lake while running from the police, and all the police found was like a bit of his clothing, I believe, because an alligator had been also hiding in the water next to the bush, and it sort of launched itself out of the water, grabbed this dude's leg and pulled him into the water and ate him, which is pretty tame for a Florida man headline, but very Florida. The other side of Florida man is people getting arrested for doing really dumb things. So there's one person who got arrested because he set up a table, like a card table, in the middle of an intersection, and ate a bunch of pancakes and maple syrup at it. Sat there in his chair in the middle of this intersection at a table, eating pancakes and maple syrup. And of course he got arrested. That's like obstructing traffic or something. But that's, again, one of the tamer stories, but fun. Now, one of the good ones was a man got arrested for cooking meth, the drug, after he butt dialed the police. He sat on his phone and somehow his butt cheeks typed in 911. And they showed up at his trailer, and he was cooking methamphetamines with his mother. Family bonding time, I guess. Yeah, he got arrested. And I'm sure that he was very popular in prison after he told them all, yeah, I called the police on myself by accident. It's incredible. There was another person, one of the better stories. He was arrested for running down the street, stark naked, waving around a 2-foot-long samurai sword. I forget if he was chasing someone or if he was just like peeking on drugs, but he got arrested, of course. And I worked in a nursing home briefly, and I was the activity director, or the assistant activity director. They sort of messed with the terms a bit so that they could pay me less, which is fair enough. I had teaching experience, no nursing experience. But I had to fill in with a bunch of like random help. They're always short-staffed due to COVID. There were nurses and CNAs, but there were never enough. So my first day on the job, this is a nursing home for like Alzheimer's dementia. I'm not going to give the name of the place, but average age was like 86. There's a 100-year-old lady in there. People acted a bit wild because once someone's memories fade, people just acted wild in there. My first day I had to wrestle this naked 90-year-old man into a shower. And he's very nice at first. Then he decided he didn't want the shower. And it was just like a horrible, traumatic experience trying to get this dude into a shower while he's like fighting me. And yeah, I'd never work at a place like that again. You feel so emotionally drained at the end of the day, even worse than teaching and like planning lessons and dealing with unruly kids. Dealing with older people who are acting the way they do because of their illness. It's not their fault, obviously, but Dealing with that is really mentally draining. But that relates to the story I was telling, because like, imagine being the arresting officer who has to tackle this naked man with a long, like a 2-foot long sword running down the street. And this dude's on drugs. You have no idea how strong he is, or like if he's gonna fight like an animal. Imagine, they probably just tased him, but imagine being that officer who has to go home to his wife and kids, or her husband and kids, or whatever mix you got these days, and say, oh yeah, I arrested a naked man with a sword, and I was very careful just to use my hands to pin him down, not my body. It's a good one. There were a few stories though, and these are actually the ones where I put the content warning at the beginning of the video. Stories of people doing bad things with animals. Once in Busch Gardens, the like sort of zoo amusement park place, someone did something to a flamingo, and you see the mugshots in all the pictures with the stories, and this man looked like he'd do things with a flamingo, and he killed the flamingo in front of horrified onlookers, I believe the words were. There's another person who was arrested for giving psychedelic drugs to alligators and in the Everglades, the national park, and doing things with them. Very Florida. This man looked almost the opposite of the man who was messing with the flamingo, but like that man was like, it looked like 400 pounds. I stay away from him in an alleyway. This man looked like a shriveled up apple, and he also looked like he would mess with alligators or flamingos or whatever. But yeah, both of those people got arrested, fortunately, so they could mess with people in prison, I guess. And there are more stories about alligators, of course. That's like a staple of Florida life. There is a person who got arrested. Most of them got arrested, but this one got arrested because he tried to smuggle a dead alligator inside his car, which for whatever reason that's illegal. I know they have farms where they grow alligators and skin them to make leather and like chicken nuggets but made out of alligators, but I guess it's not legal for a private citizen to have a dead alligator. That's not the only one though. There is another person who got arrested for throwing an alligator into the windows of a Wendy's, like the restaurant, at 2 o'clock in the morning, which makes sense. It seems like a lot of crime happens at those late night restaurants because if someone's on whatever drugs or alcohol, where else can you go to get food? Just those in gas stations. So that's probably why so much crime happens there. But there are other Florida man stories about just the t-shirts they're wearing. One man got arrested for drug possession and selling drugs. His t-shirt said on it, I don't have any drugs. Then it's in parentheses it said like, actually I do have drugs, do you want to buy any? It said something ridiculous like that. And of course he was arrested for drug possession. There's another one who went to court while wearing a shirt that said, let's just say it said screw the police. And he won his court case, which is wonderful for him. Like a blow against the police everywhere. There's another great story about a man who broke into the delivery room at a hospital to fight his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend while she was having a baby. And I assume he got arrested for that. The article did not say, the headline didn't say. I didn't have time to read all the old articles to check my facts, but you could do it if you want. They're all worth a read. And of course there are tons of Florida man stories about Florida man drives drunk, parks his car outside of Hooters, runs himself over somehow. And it makes me wonder why some people aren't just permanently in jail, or there's all sorts of reasons why death penalty isn't a thing all over. Usually because it's just too expensive to get it done. People are afraid that they might do it to the wrong person, but there are some people, like there was a story, it was on video, it was confirmed and everything. There's a man on a drug called bath salts, or PCP, who ate part of another person alive. And he was shot dead by the police on the scene. And the thing is, that person recovered, more or less, in the hospital. But that person, they looked at his record, he had like a dozen charges for assault against his own relatives and drug possession and stuff. Like, why is that person still out there in the public where he could do damage? On a related note, outside of Florida though, up in Indiana, when my dad was probably around my age, an older lady hit him and his friend when they were parked at an intersection. Their car went more than 100 yards, I believe, just from the force of it. They both got a bit of whiplash, and this lady got another ticket or another fine or something. And they looked her up in her records. She had almost 24 cases where she had been driving drunk or under the influence of drugs and hit people with her car. Like, how on earth is she still free, not in prison somewhere. Like, think of how many lives she's ruined. Of course, her insurance didn't pay them anything, but like, it amazes me that people who are repeat offenders for violent crimes like that are still out. Like, how there are people who are in prison for possession of a couple grams of weed, and there are people who have assaulted other people dozens of times, or like robbed homes, hit people with cars while under the influence, and they're still out at large in the public. It's amazing to me how that happens. But yeah, making this video, I knew a lot of these from memory, but I just went back and looked at some of the top 20 like headlines. There's one website that had top 60. It seems like a lot of them have a common theme: drugs, late night establishments that are still open, like gas stations or restaurants, and vehicles. Like there's one where someone was at a hospital, got tired of waiting, and stole an ambulance to drive himself home, which is excellent. I understand that man completely, even though he's probably in jail still. There's another where someone quit working at a Wendy's or a KFC, I forget which, a place that's open really late at night, and as they quit, they stole all the chicken nuggets and brought them with them as they left, which again, I hope that person's not in prison. That is a great move if you're working at one of those crappy, low-paying jobs. But probably the last story before I sign off, and one of the greatest Florida man stories, is an individual from, I think it was the west coast of Florida, or the east coast maybe, and, oh, there's someone coming. And this person was at some sort of bar or a venue, outdoor event, where they had tiki torches, just like a long torch on a stick, sort of Hawaiian vibes. And he picked up one of those tiki torches and fought a person with it. The person he fought just happened to be a man in drag, dressed in like women's clothing. This man who was fighting him, the man with the tiki torch, also happened to be wearing a KKK outfit. And that man later ran for mayor of that county or that city, which is incredible. I hope that he won. Don't support any of the stuff he was doing or wearing, but it would be nice to have, like, there's a town in I think it's in northern US, Montana or something, where their mayor is actually a dog, and it was a dog for like 10 years straight, and everyone just made jokes like, he's not doing anything I don't like, so we'll keep electing him. Like, I don't know what mayors actually do other than ceremonial stuff, and I'm sure all that could be done better by an animal, or a person who just goes out and like fights drag queens at bars on the weekends. But anyway, that's Florida man stories. Look them up yourself, they're all great. Actually, now that I think of it, it's sort of, I hope I never end up as a headline of one, like Florida man stuck in storm drain, drowns. But it's amazing to live in a place where all that stuff happens and think all those people have their own lives. They're all trying to do something with their lives, I guess. I don't know what they're trying to do, but something. And it's crazy thinking that all those people, like, they grew up in the same school system, they had goals and stuff, and now they're just like, I don't know, like, they are sort of like the butt of all jokes, and you don't know where their life's going at that point. Probably not anywhere good, right? I don't know what else to say. Sort of a sad ending to a video, but stay safe, folks. Peace, and if you end up in a newspaper headline, make it be for the right reasons. Bye, everyone.